So in this video, since the last video we talked about different goals that I personally have in 2022, in this one I want to talk about some things that I feel like people should consider stopping in 2022. Now, let me be clear, as always, I understand everyone has a different situation and everyone is overall different. So maybe it's not possible for you to stop some of these things for whatever the case may be. These are not going to make you a bad person. I am just saying maybe it would be in your best interest to consider stopping these. Again, I don't know you. I don't know what your situation is. I have no idea, but think about it, all right? I really sat down. I really thought about these things, and these were things I stopped doing in 2021, and they changed my life for the better, all of them. So I really hope you guys do consider it, and I really hope you guys get some value out of this video, and at the very least, this video makes you think. If it does, make sure to drop a like on the video. Absolutely free to do so, and subscribe as always so we can make that big push to 1,000 subscribers now that we are back posting content consistently again. So the first thing I feel like people should consider themselves stopping doing in 2022 is procrastinating. So it's very easy to procrastinate, and you hear a lot of times people say, I thrive under pressure. And I don't think people really understand why this is the case, but basically, to make it really, really simple, when you procrastinate, your brain almost goes into this fight or flight mode and really triggers adrenaline, and you have this increased sense of focus. And that's why when you hear people say, I do all my work best when it's the last minute right before the deadline, that's why. It's because there's these triggers going off in your brain that essentially say, I need to get this done now and I do not have an option. So that sense of focus just becomes really, really exaggerated. And a lot of people look at procrastination as not necessarily a bad thing, because if you get an assignment for school, work, whatever the case may be, on Monday and it's due on Friday, but you don't start it until Thursday and you still get it done by Friday and it's still high enough quality, you still get it done in time, there's no issues, what is the big deal? Well, first and foremost, when you have an assignment due on Monday and you procrastinate all the way to Thursday, you just wasted Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And what is this doing? You're wasting time. And I don't think people understand that there's a finite amount of time in this world. We only have so many years, we only have so many weeks, we only have so many days, we only have so many seconds in our lives, whether that's personal or career. And by wasting days like that, and okay, if you do this once, it's really not going to be that big of a deal. But if you do this for every single assignment you have, you're throwing away a lot of time that you can never get back. Think about it. If you can do that whole thing on Thursday and get it done for Friday, you can have done that whole thing on Monday. You could do that whole thing on Tuesday. You could do that whole thing on Wednesday. Or you could do the whole thing on Monday and continue to work on it throughout the week to make it better at the end of the day. And this is what I always think when I start to procrastinate. I think I'm never going to get this time back. And that's kind of scary to me, that I'm wasting time not being overly productive. And I'm not talking about time when I'm resting and relaxing, but if I'm just like continuously screwing around and continuously procrastinating on something I've told myself that I am definitely going to get done, I stop doing that and I start doing the task at hand and I start moving forward to whatever I am looking to progress on. But procrastinating also, I feel like, is more of an easy way out. I feel like people procrastinate because they can. And I feel like this is a very type of like slow lane mindset in society. I feel like people who procrastinate, it's very easy to do so. There's not really another way to describe it. Anyone can procrastinate, but it takes a different type of person to challenge themselves and say, I'm going to get this done immediately. I'm going to do this now. I'm not going to wait. And I feel like that just sets you up better for all aspects of life in general, and you become more of a go-getter. And I've read stuff about this and I've noticed this. If you start procrastinating and doing something like that, putting things off in one aspect of your life, a lot of the times you're going to be doing it in all aspects of your life. So you're much better off being a go-getter and doing things immediately, because that's going to carry over throughout the rest of your life as well. But lastly, and this kind of goes into what we talked about in the last video about being more in the present moment, I feel like procrastinating pulls you more towards the future. And what I mean by that is, me personally, when I procrastinate on something, whether it would be an assignment for school when I was in grad school, or maybe it's just something for work, I'm constantly thinking about that. So again, we'll take the Monday to Friday example. I get a task on Monday, it's due on Friday. It might be Wednesday and I haven't started it yet, and I'll say, I can just do the whole thing tomorrow, and I go out to eat with a friend or whatever the case may be. I'm just out and about. I'm thinking about Thursday. I'm thinking about that project I have to do, and it's pulling me more into the future, and I'm not in the present moment. So personally, I think it would just be best if the majority of people considered stopping procrastinating completely. Obviously, sometimes I think it's only natural that you will for different things, but if you can limit it, that would probably be the best thing in my personal, unexpert opinion. The second thing I think people might be better off stopping doing in 2022, and I stopped doing this a couple years ago, I think now, and it really changed my life for the better, is to stop lying to yourself. I come in contact with so many people on a daily basis that continue to lie to themselves all the time. It could be addiction, it could be I will stop doing this tomorrow, it could be I'll only do this one more time, etc., etc., etc. It's so important to be honest with yourself, because I feel like if you're not honest with yourself in all aspects of your life and you want to make some big changes, nothing is really going to change. This is something I've always been very good at, is being objective. I feel like I've always been good at even reflecting on myself, assessing a situation or a problem I have and saying, okay, I have this problem, this is bothering me, and looking a little bit deeper into it. Why is this bothering me? What can I do to make this problem a little bit better? What can I do to make myself happier, or whatever the case may be? But I feel like a lot of people aren't objective. They're very subjective. I personally feel like a lot of people like to make excuses on why this is bothering them or that's bothering them. Oh no, it can't be this. But I think it's a very powerful thing when you can be objective. And it's hard. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to be objective. It really does. But I also think being objective allows you to be a little more open-minded and kind of let you think outside the box, I guess you could say. For example, in Jenny Blake's book, Pivot, which is an absolutely fantastic book. I finished it a couple of weeks ago. Absolutely loved it. It talks about how if you're on a path or you're in a situation where you're really not happy and you want to pivot your life in a different direction or do something else, how you can go about doing that. Again, very, very fantastic. Link down below in the description if you guys want to check that out. Would highly recommend, especially if it's anyone in early, late 20s, or even in their 30s or 40s, and they really just want to go in a different direction in their life. But anyway, Jenny Blake talks about how in the book, how if you're not an objective person, it's going to be very hard for you to pivot your life in a direction that's going to make you happy, because you're going to think, this job can't be the reason I'm upset. It must be this, it must be that. You really have to look at yourself from a complete objective perspective and say, I truly believe that this is bothering me. And it might be a really difficult conversation to have with yourself. And she also talks about how if you're not willing to pivot, and a lot of those people can't look at themselves objectively, you're ultimately going to continue living the same miserable, for lack of a better term, day-to-day life, because you can't be objective with yourself, and you'd rather be comfortable with your life rather than take a chance and go outside your comfort zone or follow something you're passionate about or anything along those lines. But as Jenny Blake talks about in this book, by realizing you're unhappy and really analyzing all aspects of your life and all external factors or internal factors, whatever the case may be, and really digging deep and thinking about how you can pivot or go in a different direction to make yourself happy, is one of the most powerful things in the world. And if you are able to pivot and really be objective, you will most likely be happy with whatever decision you make at the end of the day, because you are looking at yourself from an external perspective. So the third thing I did in 2021 that I think a lot of people should consider doing in 2022 is I got off of social media. So I still have it. I still have my Instagram and Facebook. I don't have it on my phone. I only look at it on my computer when I'm DMing people for podcasts or whatever the case may be, or I look at it on my iPad when I see someone sends me a message. I'll never download it on my phone again unless I'm posting a story for a podcast or whatever the case may be, something random, but I'll never download it again and scroll on my phone, or at least that's the plan right now. Now, in short version, social media does do a lot of good. As I was talking about with Spencer on the podcast, it helps stay in touch with people. It helps keep up to date with friends you don't see as often because they live far away or whatever the case may be. And I feel like it just adds more context to conversations when you do see those people again that you don't see too often, because a lot of the times if someone has a kid, if one of my friends has a kid, they might not call me and tell me if I haven't talked to them in a year or so, hey, I just had a kid. But I might see it on Instagram, I might see it on Facebook. So the next time I see them, we can essentially just pick up that conversation right there, as opposed to go through the awkward context of, hey, what's new? But I also think social media does a lot more bad than it does good. I feel like it really does influence procrastination in an astronomical way. It's absolutely terrible for your attention span. And I feel like it gives this sense that you're really missing out on something in life because it's all highlights. And I've said this a number of times. If you're in the fitness industry and you see someone posting a picture of them shredded or whatever the case may be, that's them at their best. They're not going to post a picture on there after they eat a large pizza. But if you're someone from the outside looking in, that's going to make you, or it could make you feel pretty bad that you don't look that shredded or that you look fat because you just ate a pizza, even though after they took that picture, they went and ate a large pizza. I also feel like it's just way too saturated and toxic, I guess you can say. I feel like a lot of the times it does influence anxiety and depression. And I feel like ever since COVID started, it's like I just said, it's been so much more toxic and it's so political. And I think it almost leads to more arguing than it does reminiscing. But ever since I got off social media, I feel way more in the moment, which is what I've been working towards. I feel my attention span has gone over tenfold. I feel way more productive, and I find I don't care as much what others think because there's no one that I see looking at my stories. There's no one I see liking my pictures. There's no one I see except me. And going back to the productivity portion of it, I found now that, say, if I have 15 or 30 minutes to kill before I'm going somewhere, I'm much more productive with that 15 or 30 minutes, even though it's only a very small portion of time. But before, in the past, I would do things like I would just scroll through social media, or I would just see, I don't know, look at different things on Facebook, whatever the case may be. But now I'm like, let me see how much further ahead I can get in my own endeavors and my own projects in the next 15 or 30 minutes while I have this time, as opposed to, well, it's not enough time for me to dive into anything. Let me just sit here and scroll. But above all, it's just really rude to be on social media all the time. I was with someone a couple of weeks ago and they were legitimately on their phone the entire time, and it really just made me want to leave. I also have friends that will go out to dinner and they'll just be on their phone their entire time. And I really just want to say to them, are you that obsessed and that concerned with what people are posting on social media that you can't sit here and look me in the eye and have a 30-minute conversation? But hey, you know what? To each its own. That's above my pay grade. Again, everyone has different situations. This is not my world, and we are not living in it. The fourth thing that I think people should consider stopping doing in 22 is stop having a scarcity mindset and to start having an abundance mindset. So a scarcity mindset, and I've talked about this on the channel before, but it's much more finite. There's only so much money in the world. Only certain people can start a business. Only a few people in the world have that skill. That is a finite scarcity mindset. An abundance mindset, on the other hand, though, is the mindset of kind of everyone's got to eat. Anyone can take their financial life into their hands and learn how to invest in the stock market or learn how to invest in general and make all sorts of wealth. Anyone can start that sort of business, and I believe I can figure it out because everything is figure-outable, which means I can figure out the skill I need to run this business. That is an abundance mindset. And there are different ways you can utilize an abundance mindset. It just doesn't have to be pertaining to money or business, but I found ever since I've started having an abundance mindset a few years back, I'm a lot happier, to say the least. I feel like ever since I've started having this mindset, I feel like I believe I can do anything at the end of the day. Obviously, there's going to be ups and downs in there. It's not every day you're going to be at 100. Some days you're going to be at 50. But I feel like overall, I really believe that I can do anything. And I don't want to say I ever really had a true scarcity mindset, but before I really started having an overall abundance mindset, I found, and I think a lot of people are like this, they feel more so the world's against them. They feel like not everyone can do everything. They think people just got lucky sometimes. Note to self, guys, the harder you work, the lucky you're gonna get. And I feel like by just having this abundance mindset, it's really driven home that point in my mind tenfold. Again, I understand every single person on this planet has a different situation. I've said that about 300 times since I've started this channel. I'll probably say it about 400 more, and probably way more beyond that. But at the end of the day, just believe that you can do anything. Believe that you can figure everything and anything out. Make a plan, stick to it, and go ahead and figure it out, because when there's a will, there's a way. And the last thing that I stopped doing a very long time ago, and that maybe it would be best if you started considering doing in 2022, is to stop looking for instant offense. And this kind of ties into the last point I made, but in other words, stop looking for results overnight. Stop looking to learn this skill immediately. Stop looking to get rich quick. When people start dieting, they want to lose 20 pounds overnight, and when they get a week into it and they don't see those results, it's too hard and they quit. When someone decides, I really want to take control of my financial future, they start investing, and when something doesn't go up an insane percentage like Dogecoin did, they end up quitting and they think the stock market and investing is a scam and it's not for everyone. And what I think a lot of people say and a lot of people hear, but what a lot of people don't understand is that great things truly take time. Rome was not built in a day. You're not going to become a millionaire overnight. You're not going to be able to lose all that weight overnight. Or if you're just trying to learn a new skill, they're also not going to most likely learn that overnight either. It's going to take time and it's going to take hard work. And I think if more people had that mindset and were a little more patient, which I think social media also really ruins is patience as well, you'd see a lot more people successful and a lot more people happier in what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. If you truly do want something, then you're going to stick with it long enough. If you take a look at BiggerPockets, which obviously is something that is, way bigger than I'm sure the guy that started ever thought it was going to become, but it took him 10 years to start making money from it. He spent 10 years working on that company, and now obviously it's humongous. But I've always had this theory that if someone stuck with something, it's going to be very hard for them to fail. It's going to be very hard for them to not become an expert at it. But I feel like the majority of human society does not have that type of discipline to stick with something along that. So it would never hold up in any sort of clinical study or whatever the case may be. But try to look at the worst case scenario. If you start something and you don't see instant results, let's say, and you stick with it, you're most likely just going to get really good at it. And it's probably going to be a really cool story to tell. But if you stop, then you'll never find out what maybe could have been the best case scenario. This also ties to being in the present moment and overall just enjoying the journey. And I always like to tell this story about a video I watched on Brett Favre once. When he won the Super Bowl, he almost didn't feel anything. There was no euphoric feeling. There was no real, I guess we did it type of feeling, no culmination of the moment, because he didn't enjoy the journey. He was always wishing for the next game. He was always wishing that the Super Bowl was here. He was always wishing that he got his ring. He never enjoyed the process to get there. And ultimately that led him to being, he didn't say this, but this is the way I took it, a little disappointment when he won the Super Bowl, which is something you work for. Like legitimately almost every kid that plays Pop Warner football thinks of that. So if you aren't where you want to be today, enjoy the journey. What can you do today to get closer to that? What can you do today to get better results 10 years from now? What can you do today to make yourself the better version of yourself? Don't compare yourself to other people and just focus on you, and you're going to find that you are going to be able to accomplish things beyond your wildest dreams. And saying that, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. Let me know what are some things that you think I should have included in this video. Let me know if you want to see a part 2 to this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.